Hello, everyone. This is Anita from Happiness Factors. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, and namaste in whatever time zone you are in. Today, I'm very excited to welcome our esteemed guest, Aina Alive, who is not just a well-renowned speaker, but she also is on the Woman of Inspiration. She is being featured in Forbes, in Yahoo Finance, in Disruptors, and so many more channels as well. And without much further ado, I would like Aina to introduce herself and tell me some details. And today's topic we are going to talk about is burnout in the tech world.
Hi, everybody. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. Namaste. Hi, Anita. It's a pleasure for me being a guest at your podcast. Thank you very much for the invitation. And yeah, my name is Aina. I am an agile coach and founder of the Agile Tutoring. What I do, I help organizations to transform from the old and rigid style of working to the new one. And I also help my customers B2C to be better leaders and to develop their soft skills such as facilitation or storytelling or any other soft skills we need to work in the corporate world and also be entrepreneurs and be the greatest leaders ever. So thank you again, Anita.
So thank you. So you are just the perfect person to talk about burnout in the tech world because you have so much experience working there, especially in agile methodologies, which is the happening thing right now. So before we talk about the burnout, tell me about the different media coverage you have gotten because of your outstanding achievements.
Oh, thank you very much. I thought you were going to tell because you have so much experience in being burnt out. And actually, that's true. And that's why I am digging into this topic. So, yeah, to your previous question, I've been featured in Forbes, and this is my recent achievement. And I became a Forbes Coaches Council just July this year. So now it's my main focus. And also since last year, I've been noticed in North America and States and Canada and been featured in a few magazines such as New York City Journal, Entrepreneurs, Disruptors, and a few more.
Thank you. That's quite impressive.
Thank you.
And also, if I understand correctly, you have migrated from Ukraine right now. And right now there's so much like upheaval going on over there. So how do you handle all the stress related to that, apart from the burnout from the job?
It was really like difficult, honestly. So when this news hit us at the end of February this year, like first I even like didn't know how to react on that. I simply like didn't believe like how comes this is happening in the 21st century, 2022, and people still like killing each other. And then I was like, I need to help my country. I need to support my country. So I started being involved in many projects. Connected people from Ukraine as well, and like as you see, like at the end, probably it was obvious for many, but not for myself. At the end, I burned out, and so.
Yeah. So how did you handle the burnout? That leads me to my next question.
Sorry, what is the question?
So how did you handle the burnout?
So it's not my first burnout. I've been burned out at least 5 times before until I figured out how I can handle them and what to do when I get to them. So I kind of like found out that catching burnout is kind of like catching a cold. So if you understand the symptoms, like at the initial state, it's easier to manage it. You just take a hot glass of tea and sleep for like 12 hours or so. And then the next morning you wake up and you're fine. But if you didn't notice the symptoms right away,
yeah,
start healing, it will take weeks or even like months sometimes. So the same with burnout. I'm kind of like monitoring my condition. I write journals and diaries. I retrospect. I'm an agile coach, so I not retrospect myself. But again, it's hard for yourself to notice it, but it's easier for people from outside to see that something is wrong about you. So first, like I related on my friends, but friends are also busy with their own stuff. So eventually I just hired a coach, and people might ask, but you're a coach yourself, why do you need a coach? You have this like second pair of eyes to see what's happening with you right before you see it.
No, I totally agree with you because I'm also a coach. But when I need help, I need another coach because I'm too much involved with what's happening within me, right? Same with any other coach. And it's very interesting that you mentioned that you compared burnout to a cold. Like we have to know the symptoms and we have to take into account whatever's happening and find a way around it. And and I think you're absolutely right because many times when we just see the what's happening and don't notice the root cause, then we are not able to really take care of it properly because we need to know the root, what's causing it, and then work on it so that it doesn't happen again, right? So that's very incredible. And I also love the fact that you are doing the right things like writing a journal. Or I don't know if you meditate, but for me, meditation helps a lot, and setting intention as well, or timing my whatever worry or anger or whatever I have, like timing it, like, okay, 15 minutes, I'll let myself feel sorry for myself and then get on after that to whatever I need to do, right? Because that creates more positive, I would say, experiences. Because recently I had an unfortunate incident in my life where my brother suddenly passed away and he wasn't sick or anything, just had a bad reaction to the vaccine. And so it was very, I would say, catastrophic for all of us. And he was not that old either. And so, of course, those kind of things happen. You have to take a step back. And I had to take a step back for a little bit. But then I realized that I can't stop living my life. Like life has to go on, not just for me, but also for his wife and his kids who are really young. So I had to pick myself up and, of course, go into my habits of meditation and writing and journal, and even ended up opening a nonprofit to open libraries for underprivileged kids, because in India, in many small places, they don't have any, which I found out after I was trying to find a library for his kids. They wanted to study encyclopedia or something else because the one is 7, one is 13. So it's really young age for them to lose, right? They don't know how to cope up with it. So I think it's really good that you mentioned taking care of the symptoms and taking care of yourself. And even in my case, I had to hire another coach to help me go through the grieving process and handle it appropriately, because I was too deep into that, right? So same with all of us. Yeah, humans after all, right?
Yeah.
So, uh, so what does happiness mean to you? Let's get into a more positive topic. After the burnout, yeah. What does happiness mean to you? And maybe let's see how it relates to the impact of burnout, whether it lessens it or extends it, or how do you feel about it?
Yeah, so happiness, like on the one hand, it's such an easy question. Like everybody use the word happiness in our like day-to-day life, but on the other hand, it's such a profound and deep question, because
Mm.
how to answer to this question, what happiness means to you? And if you ask like any of other like listeners right now, they would say like, absolutely, I know what happiness means, but it's gonna like
Yeah.
mean a different thing for each person.
Yes.
So before, like maybe 5 years ago or so, like happiness meant for me like to achieve something new, to level up, to get something like bigger, to do more things, like to help more people. So it was kind of like more and more and more, like more impact, more influence, more help. But nowadays I've changed. So happiness for me, it's when I wake up and I want to do what I plan to do, and I have inspiration and I have motivation, and I wake up with a smile. But I also have time to enjoy small things, like I have a window behind me, you don't see it, but in the morning I have beautiful sunrises. So if I have time to wake up and enjoy the sunrise with a cup of coffee or tea and just live my slow life, and then go back to my routines and like achieve and help others and do what I plan to do. But again, like take some time to meditate, like 15 minutes or so during the daytime, or to do my routines for like my body habits, my flexibility habits, and etc. So, and at the end of the day, when I write my diary and I feel like, satisfied, and like the day was good, and tomorrow I have another beautiful day, and like thinking, what if like today is my last day? What if I die during the nighttime peacefully? Would I be like satisfied of my life or of my day? And if the question or like answer is yes, I am, so this means happiness for me.
That's very, very incredible and very, very profound, because many times, like you said before, when you used to base happiness on external things, then always there is expectation, right? And sometimes the expectations are met and sometimes it won't be met. And when it's not met, then we get disappointed. And so that takes away from happiness. So it's always good to have satisfaction in small things like waking up, like you said, seeing the sunrise or having your tea or coffee. So simple things for me. It also like having the routine, which you mentioned, is very important, because I have noticed that when life happens, then the routine takes me through, even if I want to just sit down and cry. But the routine, by like habit, mechanically, I'll do it. And then later on, when I feel better, then I'll do it with the more awareness, right? So routine is very important, as well as meditation, because it helps calm your mind. And also, I would say, makes it less stressed than it is in the moment, right? And it's very important to appreciate the small things in life, because no one is promised a tomorrow, like you mentioned. So when I like talk about in workshops or in some other things, like many people say, oh, it's easy for you to say, oh, be grateful. I have nothing to be grateful for. But then I have to mention to them, see, not everyone woke up today. So be grateful that you are still breathing and alive today, right? Because things happen, right? Like I was discussing about my brother or many of the other people whom we are talking today. We never know what happens tomorrow, right? So it's very, very important to appreciate every little thing. And the more we appreciate, the more life gives us things to appreciate, right?
Yeah,
So, right. Yeah. Go ahead.
I love that you just like mentioned appreciation, because I was like that like about 10 years ago when I was introduced to this like appreciation, like appreciated at least like three things in your life, like every single day. And I was like, but no, my life is miserable. I don't have anything to appreciate. And I would recommend it, like start small. And that was so difficult for me, like starting small. I needed something big, but then I was like, I can appreciate this sunset, and then I can appreciate this beautiful cup of tea, and I'm a big fan of tea. I can appreciate that I have like two legs and two arms. Some
Yes.
people don't have even that. So when I started this like small habits, eventually it became a habit that I don't even like notice. But like during the day, I appreciate many small things, even like on the subconscious level, and
Yes.
also like make us happier on a mental level.
No, that's so true, because sometimes we think, oh, we need $1 million, we need a Ferrari, we need this, we need that. But then happiness always escapes us. Like if we are happy in the now, that's the important part. Like if you are grateful, okay, we are breathing, or now I'm very grateful that I have a right hand. Now it's shown me how it can do, right? It's so important to my existence. And so in even simple things like having like having enough to make the tea. Not everyone has that, right? Many people are homeless, or even like having a job or having a career. Everything is important. And once we start seeing the small things, then big things fall into place, because when we appreciate it, we get more to appreciate for, right? Like we are getting the different awards and the different coverage. That's I really love how you are showing the simple things and in a very, very profound way. And so tell me, let's go to the next part of the question. So how does this happiness relate to the burnout?
Yeah, it might be sounds like, oh, these two ladies are so so kind of like cautious about themselves, like appreciating small things. 15 minutes like self-pity moments to unleash their emotions, and then go back to their routine. They help their countries, so they're kind of like balanced and peaceful. But no, we are still burning out. So if you are happy, it's still like it's not a guarantee that you will never burn out. And even more, when you are like happy, you try to give more and more and more, and you don't notice that you don't have enough time to recharge your batteries and recharge your energy. And so you keep giving and you feel happy, and it's kind of like an adrenaline inside of you, and you want more and more. And then you kind of like, oh, I have nothing left inside, but you already kind of like surrounded by people or like the others who keep like waiting from you, because you kept giving them for the last few months or so. So, and you feel like emptiness, but you can't stop it right away. And you start thinking like a little bit more, maybe like another few weeks or another few months, and then I'm able to stop. And talking about symptoms and cold, and when I start thinking this way, this is the first symptom of my burnout. It means I already burn out, I don't notice it. I just think I need to increase my speed, I can do a little bit more.
Not a good idea, right? Yeah.
No. And that's why the coach who would say like, no, just stop.
Yes. because it's very important to have the balance, right? Because if we keep on doing, once we get burnt out, the same thing which took us 2 hours to do will take 4 hours to do. And still we'll try to do even more because it's not done, right? So it's very important to have some unwinding time so that the burnout doesn't happen, or if it happens, it's very minor. And so it's very important to carve out times, the me time or the recharge time or whatever people like to call it. But and also the right habits, like you mentioned, right? Being grateful or being appreciative, and also having meditation and journaling or even nature walks sometimes helps a lot, or eating healthy, because these all add to our well-being. And if we are have well-being, then and if we have the right habits, then we'll have less burnout than someone who does not, right? So it's very, very important. Amazing. Nice. And like you mentioned, like right now we are talking happily, so people will think, yeah, like these two ladies have everything figured out, but it's not the case. Life made us figure out some of the things, right? Like in my case, if I hadn't gone through all the bumps in road life threw at me, then I wouldn't be this developed person right now. And I'm thinking maybe it might be similar for you, right? So
and we just figure out where we are right now, but then life gives us like a different lesson, and we need to figure out from scratch, like as many others. That's life.
no, it's totally true. Like even the very reason I opened Happiness Factors to offer holistic mental wellness solutions is because I was in that place where they were trying to put me on antidepressants, which I knew I did not need. I was just in an abusive situation. I needed to get out, right? So, but here they offer medicine for everything. And I don't think for many of the mental ailments, will take care of the root cause, because then it will keep on coming back. Whereas the holistic methodologies gives you enough I would say have habits or practices to do, as well as heals your trauma, so that you can get rid of it and be happy and accomplished like us, right? Because there's no limit. No matter what life brought your path, you can always get over it and get successful.
Yeah,
And yeah. And I guess we both know also, because we are immigrants, so we have had to come to a new country and adjust from scratch. So that's in itself is a very character building.
Yeah, and also builds resistance like a lot.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like recently people started like calling me like, oh, you're like so resistant, you're such a character. Like, no, 10 years ago I wasn't like such a character at all. Even like 5 years ago I wasn't such a character. But when you move alone on a foreign country and you don't know anyone, and you need to figure out from scratch and like to build yourself from scratch, and all of your past experience didn't count, you start figuring out what to do, and like every single day you need to figure out something new, and you build this resilience like day by day, and you even like don't notice how you build it until someone will say you like, oh, you're such a resilient person, like, and then you look back and like, yeah, probably I became.
Yeah, I think whatever experience life throws us does, that makes us develop all those skills and the resilience and the confidence, as well as like I would say not taking things for granted, because you never know what's going to change tomorrow, right? So yeah, so that helps us build. And the more we build easily, the more I would say successful and happy we will be, because then we will know how to deal with things when they happen, because it happens in everyone's life, right? Sometimes good, sometimes bad. It's not no one's life is constant, let's put it that way. So, and it's good that we are able to build those skills, because then we can show the path to others that we have built the skills, right? So, and I also know that you have written a book. What's the name of the book you wrote?
Well, the name of the book, it starts with you, but it's about career development, resume writing, and interview with recruiters, and so the first steps at your new workplace. So it's kind of like not related to burnout on the one hand, but on the other hand, for people who don't know how to write resume or how to communicate with recruiters, or like newcomers to Canada or any other country, it's like so stressful, and just dealing with that can like lead to burnout. And so I figure out that people keep like asking the same questions to me like again and again. So eventually I started like writing stories, but you know, I didn't want to sound like a teacher on LinkedIn or like any other social media. So do this, but don't do that. I wanted to do it like in like compassionate, like, you know, supportive manner. So eventually I thought like when I was in my early 20s, I had no idea about anything what I'm teaching people right now. So I started kind of like writing letters to my younger self, And so
Wow,
I wrote
amazing.
like a few letters, and eventually it grew to like 40 plus letters. So I even like needed to cut down some letters to make this book shorter. And so that's how my book was born.
That's so innovative, incredible. That's amazing that you took that experience of learning and even writing like letters to younger self and writing the book. That's very incredible and very, very, I would say, innovative, right? I haven't heard anyone else who did write the book that way. Like I wrote the book on mental wellness, but I took like people who have gone through life stuff and come out successful. Let's put it that way. So I really love it. That's nice. And your book is available on Amazon if someone wants to access it.
Thank you. Yeah, it's an Amazon.com course. It starts
Okay.
in my life.
Nice, nice. So anyone who wants to know how to look for a job being an immigrant, definitely check out her book on Amazon.
Thank you.
Welcome. And what excites you in your life? Like what's the most important incident that happened that made you super alive and super excited about life?
That's a good question, because this summer I went through the personal midlife, or I don't know what it's called, crisis, and nothing like excited me anymore. Like I've been like so successful. I go to Forbes, like started like writing all these articles, but I lost my voice. I lost, you know, like my inner core, and like I spent like 3 months figuring out what excites like a current Aina, because like what excited me in the past didn't excite me anymore. So nowadays, like definitely helping the others and sharing the information and get positive feedback excites me a lot, and like motivates me to keep doing. And I do like lots of stuff for free, like webinars or like sharing any other materials. But other than that, I started drawing recently, and it was my hobby from childhood. But then I grew up, got married, and immigrated. So there were like lots of other stuff, and I totally like lost my gift to drawing. I draw like right now, but I hired a teacher, and I want to bring this gift back and keep doing. And so, yeah, this is my current inspiration. I wrote an article recently for Forbes about burnout and different like types to rest, and creative rest is one of the types on how to deal with burnout. And actually, when I started drawing, it was like the type of rest I needed, and I couldn't understand what I need until I started doing it.
I love that creative rest. If you would like us to share the article in a newsletter, I would love to have it because it's very, very, I would say it reminds me of the design thinking program because it makes you like think differently than the norm. And it's nice that how you took back your childhood hobby and made it into something that inspired you to write a whole article about burnout. So that's so like relevant for the current career-oriented people, and also like the way you combine the art with it. That's really incredible. I'm so impressed. You're such an artist and entrepreneur. That's very amazing.
Oh, thank
Maybe I
you.
think you can create a whole company around it if you want, if that interests you. Yeah. So what defines mental wellness for you? Like we have talked about happiness, we have talked about burnout, we have talked about creative inspiration. So what, how do you think about like mental wellness and what does it mean to you in your life and your situation? Because we all have our own definition, right?
Yeah, so I had like a totally different definition before, but now when you just like started asking this question, like the first picture came to my mind is like balance, and balanced like yoga person like standing on the top of the cliff, like on their like one leg, and like doing this meditative pose. So that was like the picture I just like got in my head, like for like, mental wellness. So it doesn't mean that you have to do like yoga like 24/7, but like whatever you do, like you might have like a crazy day, like answering phones, answering emails, going through like some work disaster, but inside being that person like standing on the one leg on the top of the cliff and just like breathing and enjoying the sky or the sun or like whatever with their closed eyes. So if you keep this like this picture or like this person inside yourself, no matter what is happening, this means mental wellness for me.
That's nice. So if I understand correctly, having the balance
Yeah.
inside, like, yeah, that's very, very important, having the balance inside, because even if the outside world is chaotic, if you're able to have some kind of calmness and some times of balance, it's the outside won't affect you or impact you that much. And yoga does yoga and meditation both bring that to life. Even though sometimes I feel that in the Western world, yoga has only become like a stretch rather than the whole mind, body, spirit it's supposed to be, right? Because when I do yoga, of course, right now I'm not doing because of my wrist, but when I do yoga, most of the time I do all the poses closed eyes because I'm internalizing everything. And that makes me feel so much more refreshed and toned. Actually, I used to go to gym like 2-3 hours before pandemic. And since pandemic, I started just doing yoga at home. But I'm as toned as I was, actually better toned because of the yoga. I would say doing the right poses, of course. Yeah.
You know, I just realized that yoga is kind of like agile, because like people see agile as a framework or like a set of rules and like new norms, but there is like a mindset and philosophy behind that, and people miss
Yes.
this part. So the same with like yoga, like Western world just took the stretching part, but left behind the mindset and
Yeah.
spiritual approach.
No, I totally agree. Wow, that's another very, very insightful comparison of agile methodologies with yoga. That's very nice, actually. And I think if we explain it in that manner to the tech people, they will get more understanding, right? Because some people think, oh, I don't want to do it's a religious thing, this and that. No, it's for your whole mind, body, spirit, right? You don't have to change your religion to do yoga. Just do it the way it works for you. Like, because in yoga, they say that don't over strain yourself. Don't do anything which feels bad to your body. Just go with the flow, because that's the maximum benefit you will get out of yoga. And don't compare to anyone else, just yourself of
Yeah,
what you were yesterday. Yeah.
good news that we can compare the tech worlds with yoga, that it's even like comparable.
Yeah. Like, see, Sadhguru always uses those comparisons. Like he says, meditation, like with inner engineering, because I think that's why how people understand it more in the Western world when he explains like that. If otherwise they will say, oh, before like yoga wasn't this popular, right? Many people didn't feel good, didn't have good vibe because they used to think, oh, it's religious, it's this and that. But once he started explaining with the technical terms, now they are getting so much better, and so many people go and follow him. Actually, he came to Stanford recently, where I had, he got interviewed by one of the very successful Stanford professors and venture capitalists. But the way he speaks, Sadhguru, like, doesn't matter who else is on stage, he owns the stage. Because
Yeah.
he's so confident and so internally, like, I would say, internalizes everything. And the way he speaks, it's always full of humor. So it was amazing.
Yeah, I love listening to him.
Yeah. He has lots of good nuggets of wisdom, right? And where everyone can understand the way he speaks in the layman's language. So have you ever had burnout so bad that you did see a way out, but then still you found a way out?
Oh
Like
yeah.
that Agile methodology, like you have some problem, you thought, oh, I can't solve it, right? But then you found the solution.
Yeah, it happened a few times for me, actually. Like one time wasn't enough. I needed to do it a few times.
Nice. Practice makes you perfect, right?
Yeah, I was in the hospital 3 times due to the burnout. So I have ulcers inherited from my parents, and
Oh,
when
that's not
I
good.
went out, so I had like a really bad feeling in my stomach. So and I
Uh-huh.
kept like, pushing myself until I like got to the hospital. And when you're in the hospital, it's kind of like easier for you just to give up than keep continue.
Yeah.
So first time it was very bad. It took me like half a year to fully recover. I mean, like to my like recent speed of like doing work and motivation. Then it was the second time. The second time I kind of like was more conscious about what's happening, and only after the third time I figured out how to recover, like instead of like giving up or like change my career or change my profession,
Uh-huh.
like or whatever. I started like doing like small steps. So my mistake was like concentrated on big and like
Yeah,
thinking about the plans and kind of like divide my approach into like steps, deadlines. No, this doesn't work when you burn out.
that's true.
Kind of like when I ran a half marathon, and I am not a runner. So
Yeah.
it was like hard for me even like to think about the next step when I knew that there are like another 10 kilometers in front
Yeah.
of me. So I couldn't like close my eyes because I would fall, but I put my head down,
Yeah.
just looking at my feet, and I thought, one more step, one more step, one more step. And I ran 4 kilometers this way, just like looking on my feet and thinking one more, without looking forward. So normally, like an agile coach, like working about the progress, they also say like look forward. This motivates you, like the end result is going to motivate you. But when you're burned out, the opposite. Look under your feet and just do one more little step, something small, but get the result like right away. And also helping the others, like even though like you have like nothing left inside, but again, don't do big, something small. So I started volunteering for one organization, like pouring soup to homeless people.
Yeah.
So I did it just like once a week for 1 hour, but I felt fulfilled because I helped people, and these people were grateful to me right away. So it was like an energy exchange, like right away, not at the end when I finished the project, but I did this bowl of soup. The person was grateful and helped me to recover.
Now that's very, very insightful because small steps make the world of difference. Even when we teach like goal setting to people, we say like, even if you have set a mammoth goal, break it down into very small steps. And as soon as you achieve that one small step, celebrate, because then that will give you momentum to go forward. And like you said, like when you were running and you were thought you won't be able to do it, you took one step at a time. And same way, I usually do the things like which makes me fearful, right? Like years ago, I used to be afraid of heights. And so for me, I mean, I'm a hiker, so I climb all the mountains. So going up is easy, but going down, like it was always like a problem for me. So I decided to get rid of the fear of heights. And so I went to a course where they make you climb a big redwood, like it's like a redwood tree trunk, but it's like almost 10-story high, 10-story building, right? And you have nothing but just a rope on your waist. And then you have to go on the top and jump. And even though I signed up, I was not ready, right? So they put us in a group like of 6 people, like 2 people will cheer and after one another will climb. And I said, no, I'm not going to go. I'm not going to go. But there were 2 people in my team. They said, I said, I'm afraid of heights. They said, oh, you can do that tomorrow. Just go one step and see. So for me, like in the momentum of all of them like cheering me, I climbed, and then I almost like thought, okay, I'll now stop. Maybe I'm halfway. And then, but if I'd stopped, I think I wouldn't complete it. I'd just come down, because if I look down, it's so much down, I would get scared. But then I saw, oh, up. And so I decided not to look down, right? It was only 5 more steps. So I just climbed and jumped. And after that, got rid of the fear of heights. But till I jumped, right? I was afraid. And now I'm no longer afraid because I did that. So sometimes one step makes the most difference. Like if I at that time thought, oh, I have to climb this 10-story high, I would never have done it, right? I thought, okay, I'll just do one step or 2 steps, and then got it done. And sometimes having some of the positive support around you gives you the momentum, right, to do it. And I was the first one, I guess, to start climbing that, because I thought if I do it after anyone else and who doesn't finish, I'll never complete it. And that happened. Like 2 of the people didn't finish it. Like they got scared because they looked down halfway up, and they were like, had to climb down pretty much rather than go to the top. So I'm glad that I was able to do it the first before I got too scared. And after you do it, like you feel so good, right? So it's very, very important learning. Like sometimes we don't have to think about the whole big mammoth thing we are going to do, like climbing the Mount Everest, but take one step at a time and see how far we can go, and then celebrate each step of the way, right? So that's very important. That's very, very good nuggets of wisdom you are giving us. And we are so proud of you. And who has inspired you the most in your life?
That's a difficult question, because many expect to hear some like spouse or relatives or whatever. And actually, in my case, the people who were like the closest to me, they were the opposite. And actually, that's how I started like being driven, because I wanted to do more, and people like my inner circle, they wanted like to remain the same level. So I kind of like started like to moving on, and it was hard to cut off some like significant people from my life. But what happened next, and it didn't happen like right away, it took some time. But every time when I tried to do this like next step, I met someone who I didn't know before, and this person become a significant part of my life, and she become my supporter and my motivator. But unfortunately, like if you want like to climb your mountains like higher, this person like can't go with you like longer, because they might like look down on the middle of the mountain and kind of like didn't accomplish it like at all. So again, unfortunately, if you want to move on, you're moving on, but there is always like someone else who keeps climbing with you, and this person becomes your current motivator.
So who is the one who became your current motivator to inspire you?
So my current motivator is my friend I accidentally met in one of the Agile conferences a
Nice.
few months ago, and we are friends. We are close friends, and this person is the same driven as myself. So it's good to have, like, two heads to exchange your ideas and to talk about the projects and also do goods and volunteer. So this current friend is my inspiration, and I look at her and like what she does and how she behaves, and like, oh my God, this lady, this is my new friend. She's like such inspiring. And I'm having this like 15 minutes of self-pity moment, like, no way. I'd rather observe her and be like her.
That's nice. No, it's very important to have people we can look up to in our lives who can like you said, like when you're trying to like think about going in self-pity and then you look at her and you said no. So it's very, very important to have those people in our lives because they help us not fall into puddles or get over bumps much more quicker than we would on our own. That's very, very true. Yeah. I've been most inspired by my parents because they put all the values which take me through life, no matter what happens. So, but it's always good to have people we look up to. And like you mentioned, even I have built my own support system and my friends who are my cheerleaders and who keep me going when I don't want to go, right? So that's very important. So what's your favorite quote?
My favorite quote, I actually had many, but nowadays my favorite quote is just move on. And I don't remember who told it. So
No
just
worries.
move on and the spirit will follow you.
Well, that's very nice. That's incredible. Yeah, just move on and spirit will follow you. That's nice. And any parting message you would like to give to the viewers about burnout and happiness or something like that before we end?
Yeah, so just reiterate what we just spoke about and kind of like a summary. So if you're burnout, so first, like identify the root of the problem and the remedy, and don't just point on symptoms. Identify the real root cause and think and act pennies or like small steps, and also like be advocate for yourself and for your mental wellness and mental health, and sometimes just don't do nothing and remember about different type of rests you need. It might be like a physical rest or emotional or social or spiritual or sensory rest. So identify which one feels like better for you, and don't think much when you burn out, just feel more, and your body, your subconscious, your feeling will help you to find the best approach on how to deal with your current situation.
Well said, Aina. And to reiterate, I would say the points to remember for burnout, as Aina mentioned, is focus on root cause, find the best solution for you, find the best rest, which is going to help you keep on going forward, and take care of your mental wellness and take care of your happiness, and make sure to surround yourself with positive people, right? So thank you so much, Aina. It was a pleasure having you. And this is Happiness Factors podcast, and we will let you guys know as soon as it's live on Spotify and other channels. Until then, keep smiling.
Thank you, Anita. Thank you. Take care.